out anyway. Hey, I'm Danielle. I'm sure some of you are just coming here for a coffee and have no idea what's going on, and others may be aware that we're doing kind of little Q&A session, just like a hangout for like general theatre questions. Doesn't even have to be about what I'm doing at the moment or have done. Any queries, if any of you are going to study and you want to throw some questions, go for it. Or just about musical theatre in general, theatre life, just anything outside of theatre too. I'm open. We prepared just like 2 little songs for you, so I'll start off with one and then we'll close it with one. I wanted to do something that I've never been heard doing before, and I've never sang before either, and it's from one of my new favourite musicals, which is Waitress. I don't know if any of you know the Sara Bareilles musical that's just opened. I'm so excited to go and see it. I don't know when that will be, but at some point I will get over and do that. So yeah, so I thought we could open with something really lovely. I just love what this song says, especially as a career in any kind of arts or freelance job. It's always really difficult because everything is from you, and it's really difficult when you do have all these hopes and dreams and goals and they don't always work out first, second, third, sometimes 6th or 7th time. But it's still really, really important to hold on to them and remain you and remind yourself why you're doing whatever it is creative that you were supposed to do. Are we cool to have a go and just see what happens?
Yeah, go for it.
Yeah? Cool.
Just turn it on.
Yeah.
Is yours off?
Your mind's off.
Oh, is that what it was? I'm only holding this for lyrics just in case, because again, we just throw this together especially for you guys. So.
Is your mind off?
I think so. No? Yes?
Yeah.
Hello. Projection. Lesson 1. Sugar. Sugar butterfly. Sometimes I still see her, my mother, the greenwood. She'd say nothing's impossible, child. To taste like the real thing, like some stranger you recognize. So sure, so electric, so pure, so connected to those little believers inside. May we all be so lucky. I think the concept album is on the app. There's a couple videos on YouTube, I think it's on like Broadway.com or something, where the cast have done a couple videos, and oh, it's just so good. I love her as a singer-songwriter. So, and this is David Burnip, by the way, on guitar. He's in Les Mis with me across the road. So we've come together and done that. So thank you very much, David, for playing that. Does anyone have any like questions that they want to, or I can just talk for a bit? Like, I've literally never done one of these in my life, so I'm being very kind of like rabbit in headlights and no idea. So, anything?
Have you ever been in a musical?
Have I ever been in a musical? Yes, I'm in Les Mis across the road right now as Eponine. Yeah. A little bit of like context. 5 years ago, I auditioned for Over the Rainbow, which was Andrew Lloyd Webber's search to find Dorothy for The Wizard of Oz. And I was 17 and I auditioned for that and got the part. So that's when I began my kind of like theatre adventure, I guess, here in London. I'm from Manchester, as you can probably hear, I'm not southern. Okay. And and I ventured down here and kind of uprooted and moved here, and I was in Les Mis for a year. After The Wizard of Oz, so I think that would have been 2012, so I think the Olympics were on. That was such a cool year, wasn't it? And I did a year, and then they needed someone to come in and do 7 weeks, so I was lucky enough to revisit the role, which I did, in the past. And it's funny, I don't know if any of you have ever gone back to an old job or gone back to an old thing that you maybe wrote when you were younger, and you see it with fresh eyes and with the things and the experiences that you have gained in your life, and you look at it like a completely different person. And I love things like little, if you write a poem or some songs and you do return back to them a little while later, and the amount that you've learned is so evident. So it's been really cool for me to come back into this show, and things that I maybe would have like struggled with while I was learning the role the first time round. I found ways of, after the past 3 years, and I've been on tour for a year and a half as well, and learned so much being on tour, and just different ways to navigate different things that I may have found challenging when I was 19. So yeah, it was really cool. Anyone else?
I've got a question on Periscope.
Oh, cool.
Is there another role you have your eye on in the West End?
In the West End currently, there's so many wonderful roles. I'm sure there's some wonderful roles that haven't been created yet as well, and I'm kind of excited about like something new. I would love to do Christine in Phantom at some point. I think that would be so wonderful. It was like my dad's favourite musical and it's always really special to me. So yeah, I would say like right now in the West End, probably Christine in Phantom. I was so fortunate last year, I got to record and release a debut album, which was recorded live in New York City at 54 Below, which is this wonderful, wonderful cabaret room below Studio 54. And I mean, it was terrifying. Not only was it my New York debut, but then the pressure of recording, an entire live album as well. And it was -16 and completely throwing it down with snow. And that was really cool. And we did a really amazing arrangement of the music of the night with Edward Baker-Julie, who played my Tin Man, and Kaylee O'Connor, who was in The Wizard of Oz with me as well, and he now lives in New York. So just on the Christine and Phantom note, that was a really cool thing for me to do. I wanted to try and honour my father in some way, honour Andrew Lloyd Webber, and honour Michael Crawford, who played the Wizard with me in The Wizard of Oz. So that was like a really amazing song to tie all of that in. So that was great fun. Anyone else? I can just like talk. Yeah, go.
I got the chance to see you in the last 5 years in Brighton, which was like completely unmiked, just you, and it was John Robbins?
Yes, it was, yeah.
Do you prefer doing that sort of raw, unmiked stuff, or the stuff like Les Mis on stage where you've got all the set and all the other actors? What do you prefer and why?
Great question. They're so very different, like worlds apart. And we did the last 5 years in Greenwich first, which was mic'd, and we had set and we had a small orchestra. And then we took the same show, which if you aren't familiar with the last 5 years, it's just 2 people, they meet for about 10 bars in the middle, which can be terrifying when you are doing the whole show. Pretty much like a one-woman and a one-man show, isn't it?
Yeah.
And Brighton was one of the most terrifying experiences and most fulfilling, I think, of my entire career. Because it was a really tiny room with no microphones, no support from anything technical, and it was just you and the space and an audience, and it pretty much was you just doing like a one-woman show. Come in, we're just doing Q&A, it's still open, you still come and just grab coffee and stuff. Yeah, and so I love that, and I found it really challenging, and I got loads from it. And then I think you get loads, and you can say as well, like with Les Mis, you get a whole different kind of angle and a different feeling, because there's so much to deal with. Same with Wizard of Oz, with all the children as the Munchkins, and the dog. Oh my goodness. And each dog had its own, if you want to order coffee or anything, you can totally come in or just fancy it, cool. And the dog, each different dog had a different show. So they'd have different clips and different treat times, and they would start to learn when all of those moments were. So like one of them, Dazzle, she would start to like yelp as if I was doing something. I wasn't anywhere near her. And she would start to yelp for this little treat because she knew it was coming up, and it would get like earlier and earlier every night, and I had to be really mindful of it. But that, again, like that is so much to deal with. That your brain is working almost over capacity. And I remember one of the first night in Brighton, I actually came off after Still Hurting, which is Kathy's first song. I just said to the stage manager, I was like, I really don't think I can do this anymore. I really think we should just not do this. And she was like, shut up, turn around, get back on the stage, this is what you do. And I was like, thank you, yes, thank you, go. And it really was, and I had not felt that for a really long time. With the television program, it was very stressful and very, there was loads of pressure, but there was so many of us and there was so much was moving that you almost just go into like overdrive, and you're like, just keep swimming, and on you go, and it just happens. So yeah, I'd love to do more of that kind of thing, because I think as an artist, anything that takes you back to basics, back to the rehearsal room, back to what you learned. Come in, it's still open for coffee, we're just doing a Q&A. Join us! I'm Danielle, in Les Mis, and this is David, he's in Les Mis too. Yeah, so it was really, really thrilling. It was. I'm really glad you saw it. Did you enjoy it?
Yeah, it was great. I loved it.
Good. I'm really glad you saw it in Brighton as well, because it was so different.
I'm glad that you said about Greenwich having all the mic, because we didn't know, just going to Brighton, we didn't know what it was like previously. So.
Yeah, and it was in something called the Warren, which is like this fringe festival they do in Brighton, which if you haven't been and you live anywhere near Brighton, it's one of my favourite places. Totally go, because it's really, really cool. And they have this like circus tent, and people do like live folk music, and you can just have like a glass of orange juice or a beer or a wine, and just kind of chill out with them, and yeah, it's really cool. Anything else? Yeah?
Have you ever been, sorry.
No, don't worry.
Are you with an agency or anything?
Yes. So there are open auditions and things, and I used to remember at school, I was looking at the stage and see what was auditioning and things. Yeah, absolutely. How old are you, can I ask?
15.
15. Oh, great, you've got plenty of time. So what usually happens, obviously my route was a little bit different. I think everybody's path is completely individual, and people can kind of advise you and share their story, but yours is yours. So if you're planning to go to drama school or train, that's usually when agents come in and visit you, and they talk to you, and they come and see your showcases and your shows, and then a lot of people sign on from there. My journey was a little bit different, because I obviously did the television show and then needed representation because I'd already gained my own job. So then I did meetings of my own and kind of, called around myself. But I would say if you are planning to do this kind of like long term, then just let people come watch you, invite them to your shows and things when you reach, more like 18 and drama school kind of age, if you are. But whatever, you never know, you might turn around and get a job next week. So yeah, I was 17 and doing my A-levels, and I was like, no. And I actually said that I wasn't going to do the Dorothy program. When I got through to the final 20, I didn't want to mess up my A-levels, and I was just really concerned about my exams, and I just said, I just can't do this. Like, I can't let people down. I've been working in groups, in drama and things, but there was still like something that was just like, am I going to regret this? And I think you have to listen to that voice as well, and I just took my chance, and I'm really glad now in retrospect that I did. So yeah, just trust your heart, it won't lead you wrong.
Do you have any Olivier Award predictions?
Oh my goodness, it's like on Sunday! I'm so excited. Well done, Les Mis for best show. Woo! No for us. I leave on Saturday. Saturday actually. Les Mis is my last week in Les Mis. Now, who is nominated? Mrs. Henderson presents. There's a lot of people in that. Such a wonderful, wonderful show, and new as well, which is so exciting. Do you have any favourites? Do you have anyone that you're like rooting for? Yeah, that was for Gypsy, wasn't it? She's in for that. Who else? Who else is nominated? Yes, Matt Henry, yeah. And the Bend It Like Beckham lot as well, because they recently closed. And there's what's so wonderful this year is there's so many new shows, and I feel like the West End just got this like enormous like lump of energy, didn't it? And like all of these amazing shows that came over from America and stuff, and it's really, really fun. And all I have go, whenever someone says like awards, all I have go around my head is like Hamilton and Tony's. Hamilton and Tony. I don't know if you listen to Hamilton yet, but like, I'm obsessed. I missed my tube stop the other day because I was so in the game. I was like, yeah, go Alexander Hamilton. And then I was like, oh no, go Danielle. So, yeah, but I'll be tuned in on Sunday, and fingers crossed. And fingers crossed for all the shows, and it's really cool that everybody that's nominated, and even if they're not, you know, just that theatre is celebrated in general, and every year the Olivier Awards gets bigger and bigger, and more people follow it, and more people support, and that's what we want, and that's what's amazing, that this community, like especially here, like in the Theatre Cafe, this is such a home for people of the West End to come in and, you know, congregate and like hang out with you guys and do this. Like, this is the coolest thing. So yeah, I think just anything that brings everyone together is super great. Anyone else? Yeah.
Are you ready for Les Mis tonight?
I am, yes. Are you watching?
We're
Oh my goodness! Have you seen the show before? No. So excited. And you're watching tonight as well, aren't you?
Yeah.
Amazing. Oh my gosh, I'm so excited for you guys. I think the first time that you watch any of these shows like Wicked and Les Mis and Phantom, it's one of those memories that never leaves you. And I hope it gives you the bug if you don't already have the theatre bug. But that's really cool. Where are you guys from?
Yorkshire.
Nice. Are you here for the weekend, like from Easter and stuff?
Just for the day.
Just for the day? So is it just for Les Mis?
Yeah. Kind of, yeah.
Oh, well, we are honoured. I cannot wait. Well, the show is for you guys tonight. Awesome. Anyone else? Hey.
Do you have any advice for anyone who's currently training?
Where are you training? Like, as in degree?
Yeah.
Wise?
Chichester.
Chichester.
Yeah.
Chichester. Oh, it's such a beautiful town. Okay, advice. I didn't train for 3 years, but I have a lot of close friends that did. I went and did some of second year at Arts Educational School in Chiswick. So I trained alongside the degree students, and I saw how much energy and passion and commitment and sacrifice that degree actually takes from you, like any form of training does for something that you love and that you're passionate about. I say my advice is know that there is life beyond drama school, and little things that may be a huge deal at drama school are not necessarily, you know, like when you leave high school and you think all these dramas are really important, and you leave and you're like, wait, that really didn't matter, did it? Like, I could have just gone on with love, or like Have Courage and Be Kind from Cinderella movie. That quote fuels me. Like, just have courage and be kind. Trust yourself. Trust that you got in for a reason. Keep your head down. Work hard. Is there anything in particular that you would like advice on, or just general, just surviving? Yeah. And just, I think on the dark days, which we all have them, like there's no, I'm not going to sit here and pretend that every single day is magical. Like, it's really hard. I was saying before, being freelancers, we all have those days, regardless of what job you do. But don't let your sparkle and your flame and your passion be affected. You're allowed to have those moments, and you should acknowledge those feelings, but don't give power to them. Just move through it, trust yourself, and know that you're there because that's something you love to do when you can't see yourself doing anything else. And know that there's huge sacrifice, and it's a long, bumpy road, and you may come out of drama school and get a year in the West End and then not work for 3 years. But I think as long as you're not naive about the realities of the world, of art and artists, then you're alright. Just keep your feet on the ground and just be who you are and find other creative passions. Like, I've just launched a new crystal jewelry like range, and it's on Etsy, and like I'm wearing like one of them now, one of the first ones, because I found crystals have been like an amazing anchor in my life for me, and making jewelry is something that I found like that I was good at and like creative and stuff. And hey, come in, we're just like chatting away. And So I found another avenue of creativity as well. So don't limit yourself either. Like, you can do so many things, we all can, and it's never like too late. So I would say, hey, yeah, just, and have an amazing time. Just enjoy it. Hey, welcome. Yes, and yeah, and good luck. What year are you in? Second, okay, amazing. So is it show year coming up for third year? Awesome. Oh, it's so exciting. Yeah, best year, exactly. Yeah, good times.
I've got one here.
Hey, oh,
sorry.
Go on, in the room and then on the phone, yeah.
If you had to pick any job backstage instead of being on stage, what would you do?
Okay, I would have to divide myself in half, and I would do all of the wigs, and I would preset all of the wigs, and I'd want to work on a show like Wicked or Hairspray with like insane, crazy wigs with loads of props in. And then half of me would love to work in wardrobe because I love dressmaking and all the costumes. I've always been fascinated by the tiny details that go into the costumes, and you may not see all of them, you know, from whatever seat you're in, but they're all there, and they're all there with a purpose, and I think that is amazing. And you know, when you put a different pair of shoes on, or in the morning, whatever everyone put on today, that's your costume. So you looked in the wardrobe and you said, that's how I want to feel, this is why, and I'm going to put this on. And it really does affect you for the whole day. Like, if I've put something that I'm not quite owning, and I'm like, oh, I have to feel like this all day. You know, I'm not saying that clothes define you, but you do put on a costume, whether that's to be comfy or whether it's like, oh, you know, I want to wear a dress today. And I think that's cool to try and match that to a character in a show and be like, what would she pick to wear this morning? Why did she do it? Like, what shoes would she wear and how would she walk? And all that's fascinating. So yeah, definitely half wardrobe, half wigs.
If you weren't a performer, what would you be doing?
Before I got into performing, I used to horse ride, and I used to look after other people's horses and, like, you know, clean them out twice a day, every day. And I did that for 6 years, and I thought I would be a riding instructor. And I got to about 16, and I was about to get my first horse. It was through a very strange way, and someone was almost gifting it to me on the yard who couldn't, you know, have this horse any longer. And it all fell through, and I was absolutely heartbroken. I remember my dad turned around and said, this is for some unknown reason to us right now, but maybe this isn't what you should be doing now in your life. And then a couple months later, the Dorothy program happened. And horse riding is twice a day, every single day. It's like having a child, even though it's more than twice a day, please. Don't worry. Yeah, so it's a huge commitment and a very different lifestyle. So it was interesting if my life had gone down that path, because I would never have auditioned or had the time to do any of this. So yeah, I guess life would be really different. There's loads of things I would love to still try. When I was younger, I thought I'd be an air hostess because I love traveling. I have such a gypsy heart. But yeah, definitely a horse riding instructor or something with nature and animals that makes me really happy.
And one more. If you could play,
go on.
Any part in Les Mis, who would you play and why?
Okay, so I'm Eponine now, in case anyone doesn't know, which is like one of the most awesome tracks in the show. I think she's so cool. It's always been like a tie between like Javert and Enjolras, because like Javert's such a badass, isn't he? Like, and he's so misunderstood. Every now and again at the bows, he comes on and some people boo, and I'm like, no, he is 100% living his truth. Like, he thinks he is right, he is by the book. He just doesn't have that other side of the brain that can comprehend the circumstances and the reality. So in his eyes, he's doing everything as he should. And also, Enjolras is just like, yes, I will follow you into a revolution, and has all of these amazing people like behind him, and he inspires all of these students and then all of the people on the streets. I love how they're both male characters as well. Yeah, so definitely one of those two. But Eponine, for me, has been one of my favourite roles to ever play. It's one of the most, I feel most connected to this role maybe than any other that I've played. She's very grounded and earthy. She'll do anything for Marius and goes above and beyond and doesn't really know what love is. And kind of discovers that throughout, you know, and the unrequited love I think we can all relate to at some point in our lives. We've all been there and been like, you don't see me, but I'm here, hey, doing everything for you. So yeah, for me that's a real special special role, and just like her body language, and you know, she's hard and she's fighting, and yet she'll just do anything for this boy. And she has a really nice, because they do an ensemble track as well, which is also amazing. So you get to be a lovely lady, you get to pea pick, you get to be in the factory, so you get 20 minutes of that, and then the Eponine track, and then I won't actually, no spoilers, do you know the story? Okay, you know what happens to her? Okay, good. Whew. So Eponine dies. Oh! And yeah, and then you get like some time after that, and then so it's really cool to like go through this huge journey all the way through the show. And On My Own is one of the most incredible songs to get to sing. So I'm kind of blessed to come in again for 7 weeks. It feels like a bit of a gift. So, you had a question?
Yeah. What's your favourite musical?
Okay. This is like someone saying, what's your favourite music? Because I'm like, oh God. Because there's so many different shows for different reasons. Like obviously Hamilton's just kind of like hit everywhere and it's massive. Before that was In the Heights, and I had one of the most special experiences with In the Heights Broadway. I knew every breath, every word. In 2008 when it came out, I saved up every week. And I got to go to New York with school for the first time, which is when I kind of knew my heart belonged there. And I went to stage door, I had my pen and my poster, and I met all of the cast, and then Javier Munoz, who is Lin-Manuel's alternate, he had just taken over from Lin that night, so it was his first show on as Usnavi. And I was kind of like 16, and can I come watch rehearsal or something? And I know I'm not anybody, and I don't really know what to say, and I'm being really weird, but I just want to come and support you and see what you guys do, like a swing rehearsals. And he was like, why don't you come on the stage now? And I was like, So I remember my teacher was like, go. And he like took me like through stage door and backstage and onto the stage, and all the cast were there, and Lin-Manuel and Miranda was there. And they were just like hanging out because it was I think it was Vanessa's birthday or something. And he sat me in a Whalers Cafe. If you know the show, that's like a really key part of the story. And he just said, look, I gave up, and Lin asked me to come and do this. If this is what you want to do, go for it. Go with all of your heart and don't doubt yourself for a second. He's like, I can see this is what you want to do. And just take this experience and carry it with you. And I truly have. And I auditioned for the Dorothy program that year. So it was with that, that kind of support in my brain and courage from that experience. So for that reason, that show will remain my favorite show because of the all-round experience and what it's given to my life. But there are so many shows. Like, I'm the biggest Disney nerd you'll ever meet. Like, it's honestly such a huge part of my life. So whenever they make a musical on stage, I'm like there with bells on, absolutely fangirling. So I would say any Disney musical. In the Heights is crazy special to me, and I think Phantom will remain a true classic, and it was one of the first musicals I was introduced to, and that's really cool. So I hope that's not too broad. Thank you. Anyone else? Go.
You mentioned Hamilton, so I have to ask. I think it's coming on West End after the year's tour. So what part would you like to play if you had the chance?
Okay. I'm so torn between it. So Hamilton, if anyone doesn't know it, there's kind of like 3 girls and everyone multi-roles. And Eliza is Hamilton's wife and Angelica is her sister, both in love with Hamilton. And I'm so torn between Angelica and Eliza. I love Eliza's stuff because when she does the countdown and the Stay Alive, I just can't listen to it and not cry. But the Angelica's lines, like all of her melodies, oh my goodness, like crazy belt. So maybe I'll do 4 shows as Angelica and 4 shows as Eliza. Please. No, but it's so cool if it does come over here. Thank you, and yeah, I'm so glad that everyone's loving it.
Have you ever worked with Carrie Hope?
No, so Carrie Hope Fletcher took over from me as Eponine. So I was Eponine for the year, and then I passed her the hat, and then she was there for 3 years, and then she passed me back the hat, which was like the coolest thing ever. And that's really cool, and she's an amazingly talented girl, very kind-hearted, and just, I have no doubt she'll just fly. So yeah, and like for her to like do this for 3 years, amazing stuff. Cool. Anyone else? What time is it, by the way? Let me just... 6:15. Okay, we'll wrap this up soon because we have warm up for the show because you guys are seeing it, so you'll want us to get across the road. just want to say thank you to everyone for turning up and spending your time and sharing your Easter evening. I hope you all had amazing weekends. Of course, the Easter weekend doesn't really exist for us because we do the shows, but it's really amazing because everyone comes into town and it's been a really good vibe around the city. I mentioned my jewellery before. It's called By Hope and Anchor. I find crystals very anchoring, and obviously my second name is Hope. So that's that. So check that out if you're interested in anything like that. And I'm making new things. I've actually just released today like a Disney-inspired range. So I'm so excited by that. And I'll start to do some theatre-inspired ranges. So shout out some of your favourite characters, and I'll try and connect stones to them. And yeah, it's super fun. I have an album as well called Bring the Future Faster, the one I mentioned about recording live in New York. It's available on iTunes. If you want a hard copy, it's on Amazon. And that was totally live, a one take, one night only, very, very special night. And it's got all the shows that I've ever done. It's kind of working through my career of 5 years. And I had this list, which was called the 5-year plan, and within the first year of moving to London I completed everything apart from perform on Broadway. And the weekend I wrote, because I dated everything, the weekend I wrote it, 5 years later was the night of my concert in New York, and that was the weekend that I wrote the list, and it was the only thing I had left to stick off the list. So it was a really amazing and crazy thing that happened. But so the album's kind of all talking about that and where I thought my life would go and where it ended up going, and all the shows that I did. So I'd love to finish off with a little song, which would be good fun. Again, I'm gonna. We got some. Is that gonna be weird? Okay. I'm gonna hold this again because this is just for you guys. We've just thrown this together for you as a special one-off. I talked about Disney before. Never sang this one before, so this is Touch the Sky from Brave. And I play this if I'm having a moment. Do you like this song? If you know, you can sing in the chorus, just join me, it's fine. If I'm just having one of those days where I'm like, oh my god, I put this on and I'm like, okay, and I imagine myself on the top of a parade float at Disney World, and I'm like, I can do this, I am a Disney princess. See? I've never had a case, and I do that about 5 times a day, and it's still fine, touch wood. Okay, thank you, David. I'm gonna stay calm now. When the cold winds are calling, and the sky is clear and bright, misty mountains sing and beckon, lead me out into the night. I will fly, I will ride, chase the wind and touch the sky. I will fly, chase the wind and touch the sky. Where dark woods hide secrets and mountains are fierce and bold, deep waters hold reflections of times lost long ago. I will hear their every story, take hold of my own dream, be as strong as the seas are stormy, and proud as an eagle scream. I will ride, I will fly, chase the wind and touch the sky. I will fly, chase the wind and touch the sky. I will ride, I will fly, chase the wind and touch the sky. I will ride, chase the wind and touch the sky. Thank you so much. Thank you for coming to the Theatre Cafe. These guys are always here, always open for pre-show, caffeination and nice treats and just great atmosphere. And these machines are amazing because you can pick whatever you want to listen to. Thanks for joining us. Have an amazing night, whichever theatre you're visiting and whatever you're doing. And yeah, this was so much fun. Thank you so much.